Thank you for watching another episode of the A Sports Podcast. My name's Art, here with my brother Alex.
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
Alex, huge night of boxing, some great fights. Real quick, before we start the segment, I didn't talk to Alex about this, but I want to send my well wishes and prayers to Miguel Berchelt. If you guys are watching this, you guys probably already know what happened. He got knocked out in the fight against Oscar Valdez. Very, very, very disturbing knockout, to say the least. He was sent to the hospital. Hopefully, we get some good news in the next coming days because, sure he was up, but, these next couple of days are very important to one's recovery. So hopefully he recovers fully. Anything you want to say about Berchelt?
Nah, you know what? I hope he makes a good recovery because that was pretty nasty.
Yeah, that was very rough to watch. Now that we got, now that we expressed our concern for Berchelt, we do have to get to the man of the hour, who is Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez won by 10th round knockout over Miguel Berchelt to win the WBC 130-pound title. Alex, coming into this fight, I mean, I don't think any of us could have predicted this. At least the fight to go the way it did. What'd you think of Oscar Valdez's performance?
Nah, you know what? It was a good performance. Was this the first fight that he had with Eddie Reynoso?
No, this is, I believe, his third.
His third fight with him? Yeah, I mean, as soon as the fight started, I could just tell that, Berchelt didn't have it. You know what I mean? It really looked like Valdez was going to beat him. I think had he not hurt Berchelt in that fourth round, I think he would have just been on a route to boxing him clean. Okay. And I don't know if that knockout would have happened had he not hurt him. And I think it looked like Valdez it looked like he gassed out. It looked like that after the fourth round. It looked like Berchelt was coming back in, but the snap just wasn't on his punches. Hey, I take full credit. I really thought that Berchelt was going to be able to pull it off, but once that fight started, you could just tell he was slow, sluggish. It was not good for him.
But that's the usual Berchelt. We haven't seen him fight against somebody who would box, move around, and be quicker than him. And this was our first. I feel at least our first experience of Berchelt fighting somebody quicker than him. Somebody who, sure, maybe he didn't have the power that Berchelt had, but just somebody that can move around and make Berchelt have to work to land his punches. So, it's a funny thing you say that Berchelt looked like he didn't have it.
He did not look like he did. Like he did. He looked like he did in his last fight against that journeyman that he fought.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He looked slow and he looked sluggish. Let me tell you, there was no snap on those punches at all.
But the couple punches that he did land, you could tell when he was not hurt or when he was recovered, those punches that he landed on Valdez really got to Valdez. He felt them, which is weird because you would think, think of a Berchelt who maybe wasn't weight drained. Who knows what the issue could have been? He rehydrated 16 pounds, so I want to say he probably dropped about 12 pounds the night before weigh-ins, more or less. I mean, who knows what kind of Berchelt we could have gotten had, whatever went wrong in camp, not gone wrong in camp, But Valdez, man, that jab looked really good the first couple rounds. I don't know what else can we say about Valdez's performance.
No, you know what, Valdez, he pulled it off. You know what, he did good. He was working that jab. I thought the Mexican spirit was gonna, take over at some point in the fight. I felt like when he hurt him in that fourth round, he tried to go for the finish.
He did.
And let me tell you, Berchelt's legs were gone. His legs were wobbly. He was taking some devastating shots. How he got out of that fourth round, I really don't know. But I do agree with letting it go on after that fourth round because it looked like Berchelt was starting to come on. But Berchelt's defense is just bad. It's really bad. I mean, you're getting hit with 4 or 5 hooks in a row, and all Valdez is doing is moving around and switching stances, but he's throwing the lead hooks, and you're getting caught every time. I mean, and then, let's see. I want to say from round 8, I want to say about round 8, I thought that fight should have been stopped. You know what, Berchelt, he was coming forward, but he was getting tagged, and he just did not look good, to be honest. I mean, he looked like his legs were gone. He was wobbling forward to Valdez when he got knocked out. I was actually texting my cousin. Shout out to James Ortega. I was texting him literally before that round started. I was like, they need to stop this fight before Berchelt gets hurt. And that's exactly what happened. Awful job by the ref and awful job by his corner. I really hope he gets a better team around him, because I mean, I felt like that knockout didn't need to happen. I felt like it could have been stopped before that. And if anybody disagrees with me, they just don't know about boxing.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that fight should have been stopped, and they got what they wanted. They really thought that it was going to go with Berchelt being able to change the tide, but you could just tell there was no snap on the punches. His legs were gone. I mean, he was getting hit flush. He was coming forward, but a jab was landing, straight right hands were landing. The hooks were landing. And even before he got knocked out, he was wobbling towards him, swinging wide. And then, he swung with, I think, like a right hand. The last punch that he threw was like a right hand. He had his hands down. He was just like,
he was there.
It was there for him to get hit. So, I mean, I hope he can recover from this. I really do. I hope he's able to have good health. But when I'm sorry, but I'm upset. You know what I mean? Yeah. I really am upset that he had to take that type of punishment, and I'm upset that he got knocked out like that, because it was nasty.
Yes, it was.
It was bad. I mean, when he was on the ground, it did not look good.
No.
I mean, I was, I hate to talk about it, but I did see when I saw that fight when people that don't know Maxim Dadashev, ever since I watched that fight, man, it's hard to watch things like this.
Yeah, and I mean, it's different. That was a little different situation, because Maxim at least walked out of the ring, and then he collapsed outside of the ring. So, what you see on TV is you see, Berchelt get up and sit on the stool, and then, they show him taken to the ambulance. That's why I said earlier, like, these next couple of days of recovery is, are the important days. Tonight into tomorrow morning, because it's weird to talk about this, but once he goes to sleep, you'll be lucky if he wakes up tomorrow, and it's sad to have to talk about that. But like you were saying about Maxim Dadashev, I think they put him into a coma the next day because his health declined overnight. So, and then he ended up passing away 2 days later. So tonight, yes, you saw him in the ambulance go to the hospital, but tonight into tomorrow, I say tonight because we're recording this Saturday night, are very important for Berchelt's health, and like you said, hopefully he recovers. One thing I want to touch on that you brought up, the 4th round knockdown, his legs were gone.
They were shaky.
As a referee, I know it's the end of the round, but if you ask Berchelt to come to you, he was not going to be able to come to you. Let's be honest. So, I mean, a stoppage at that point, I don't think people would be upset about. Because if Russell Morrow walked up to him and took his gloves and wiped them off on the shirt, but if Mora, says, come to me, he's not going to be able to come to him.
Listen, I went for Miguel Berchelt, but even me, if he would have stopped it in that 4th round, I would have been fine with that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Jesus, he was doing the stanky leg, man. It was really bad.
He was really hurt.
And he was getting hit flush with a lot of good shots after that. And there was when he got stunned, it was like in the beginning of the round, right? Yeah. Where he got stunned, and then the whole entire round was him just, wobbly all over the place.
Taking punches.
And it was bad. So, I mean, I wouldn't have been mad at that stoppage in that round. So, I mean, it's I don't know. I don't want to say anything else,
It's hard to be critical about Valdez after a big win like this, but I'm gonna throw a little constructive criticism his way. I think after he hurt Berchelt, he totally forgot about his jab for about 2 rounds. In that 4th round, those first 3 rounds, great jab, landing it pretty much whenever he wanted to. The 4th round, he hurts Berchelt and he goes for the Colonia windmills. If you're from Oxnard, shout out to you. Those Colonia windmills were he was going at it with to try to get Berchelt out of there. In the 5th round, same thing. He went with those wide punches. He wasn't trying to set anything up. He was just going for that big knockout punch. Now, 6th, 7th round, when Berchelt started, recovering, you saw Valdez go back to the jab and land the jab. And that's what set up those big power shots, in the 7th, 8th, 9th round. That jab. If he can keep his composure in big moments like that and stick to the jab, I think he'll have a little more success getting guys out of there. Because I think he could have had Berchelt out of there in that 4th, or even in that 5th round, because Berchelt was still hurt. One thing you mentioned to me during the fight, body shots. Wasn't a lot of body work from Oscar Valdez. No. So that's another thing that I know you noticed it because you mentioned it during the fight while we were watching it. And it's something that came up, once you brought it up, I was like, that's true. Valdez did not go much to the body. So like I said, great, like we've said, great performance by Valdez, but there is always room for improvement. A little more body work, especially when you have a guy hurt like that, could definitely help with the process of getting the guy out of there. Because if Berchelt would have recovered, and we could have seen some Berchelt of old, maybe Valdez gets in some trouble if he doesn't get him out of there. So again, congrats to Oscar Valdez. Proved all his doubters wrong. He was not a huge underdog. I think it was like plus 280, but still, he was not picked by many people to win this fight, especially by knockout. Any last comments on Valdez Berchelt?
Now, you know what? Congrats to Oscar Valdez, and you know what? I hope Miguel Berchelt just makes a recovery. I don't care if he boxes again. I don't care any of that. I just hope he's able to recover. I hope he's able to have a life after boxing. Yeah. So, you know what? Overall, good fight. I'm glad I was able to see it.
Yeah, definitely a great fight to be on ESPN. Because even though it did seem a little one-sided, but I think, you always had I was so tense during the whole fight. Like I knew, okay, Berchelt can come on at any moment. Berchelt can take over the fight with one punch and turn the tide. But, there was a couple punches, like we said earlier, that landed that looked like they affected Valdez. But in the end, Oscar Valdez was able to triumph. On the undercard, Gabe Flores Jr. got himself a knockout win over Jason Velez. Any thoughts on Gabe Flores?
No, you know what? He looked good. I thought it was going to be a long night for him. For a couple of those rounds, it looked like he was getting tagged. But, he was able to come back in that fight. He was able to stun Velez, and he did a great job getting him out of there. I mean, he threw punches. He didn't, he threw everything in the kitchen sink at him and make sure he got him out of there.
That's been my criticism of Gabe Flores, and I think a lot of people's criticism. Like sometimes against this opposition, and it's not to say anything bad about Jason Velez. Velez is a good opponent, but Gabe Flores, sometimes he'll play with his food. He'll play with the opponents just to get a win. No, be impressive, make a statement. You're on ESPN. There's a lot of people watching because of Valdez Berchelt. Give them something to want to come back and watch again. You know? So, and he definitely did that in this fight. I'd like to see more of that. This is the first time we see him knock somebody out, I think in like 5 fights or something like that. So, good for him. He's a talented kid. Just want to see a little more consistency when it comes to getting guys out of there. On the ESPN Plus undercards, Esquiva Falcao, everybody that was supposed to win won. Brian Lua, I believe, didn't fight, you said, because he tested positive or his opponent tested positive?
I think he tested positive for COVID.
Okay, Brian Lua tested positive for COVID. Esquiva Falcao won. Elvis Rodriguez won. Javier Martinez won. Who else? Who else was on that undercard? Xander Zayas won. So everybody that was supposed to win won on the undercard. Any thoughts on the undercard fights?
No.
No? Okay. Moving on to Showtime Championship Boxing. We had Adrian Broner take on... Sorry about that. Adrian Broner take on Giovanni Santiago. Adrian Broner won by unanimous decision. Alex, we watched the... I'm not going to say we watched the whole fight, but we watched what we could because we were, into the ESPN card. Did you think Broner deserved the decision?
I really don't know. It looked like Giovanni Santiago had his moments in that fight. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the last 2 rounds because DirecTV just needs to get their act together. I don't know what happened with their boxes, but we recorded it. Our boxes, just for whatever reason, went on the fritz, and then we didn't get to record the last 2 rounds. Yeah. So from what it looked like Adrian Broner was coming back rounds 9, 10. But Giovanni Santiago did have his moments, and I felt, a lot of people were upset with that unanimous decision to Broner. To me, it did look like Giovanni Santiago was ahead in that fight from what I saw. It just looked like Broner doesn't throw enough punches, man. And it's the same Broner. Yeah. And one thing I want to touch up on, coming into this fight, I had said it was at 140. That's what I had initially thought. That's what I told you about. You told me, no, it's at 147. I said, there's no way it could be at 147. I did my research. Fast forward 1 week until the fight. There's
couple days until the fight.
Couple days until the fight, whatever the case. They come and they tell Giovanni Santiago that Adrian Broner is not gonna be able to make weight. That basically what his promoter told him was shut the hell up, take the money, and just fight at 147. That's exactly what they did. And you know what? I think it's a bad look for Adrian Broner. He said he was gonna come back. I really thought he was gonna come back and look great. But when you just choose not to make the weight, I don't know exactly. I don't know how much overweight he was. As far as just during the layoff, it was 2 years. Mm-hmm. You can put on a lot of weight in 2 years. Okay, especially if you're drinking or just not eating healthy in general. Yeah. You can pack weight quick. So in order for you to lose that weight, you got to put in a lot of work in the gym. So do you think that Adrian Broner had an idea, more than a month away from the fight, if he was going to be able to lose that weight? Or do you think it was just his body was not cooperating with him?
Yeah, I think, towards the end, towards that last weight cut, I'm sure he realized damn, my body is not cutting any weight. Because, your body will hold on to stuff, especially when you start taking food away. Your body's going to start holding on to whatever it has. So, it could have been a simple miscalculation, but at the same time, it could have probably been shooting for your goal, setting that bar too high, trying to get down to 140 after, more than 2 years off.
Yeah.
Why not fight at 147? Why not fight at 150? Get a catch weight so your body so you could drop down, stay healthy, don't balloon up, and then you could drop a little bit more and drop at, one fight at a time. But he tried to do it all at once, and it just doesn't work like that sometimes. As far as the fight goes, he didn't, like you said, he did not look good. He doesn't throw enough. Same old Adrian Broner. I don't know if I want to see him main event another Showtime card, a PBC card, any of these cards. I think he's a good undercard fighter, but not a main eventer. To me at least, it's, if he's going to fight at 140, there's some tough guys at 140, Jose Ramirez, Josh Taylor. Let's see who else is going to move. I think Teofimo Lopez is moving up to 140. I don't think Giovanni Santiago, nothing to knock Giovanni Santiago, but he had a good fight. You know what? Yeah. He did what he was supposed to do. But if he's going to try to fight any of these guys at 147 or 140 and he's fighting like that, I just don't know how far he's going to get him, Yeah, no. And hopefully he can get,
just shake this one off, try to be more active and see what he can do in the gym and see if he can come, and get a better fight in. But, I don't know if you can really change Adrian Broner at this time. He actually wasn't training with the trainer that trains Gervonta Davis. Wasn't he training with another trainer for this fight?
I'm not sure. I know he was training in Florida or something like that, right?
Yeah, he wasn't.
He moved away from Cincinnati.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if they might have had like a dispute, or maybe him being out and he hadn't trained with Gervonta Davis, whatever the case. I think he needs that type of discipline because, I mean, not that he looked great, with that camp either, but he did not look good in this camp. And I feel like if they just let him do what he wants to do, it's not going to work out for him. Yeah, so hopefully he can, change his ways because it's what, he still has talent. It just, he needs to be able to throw his combinations, throw more punches, be more busy. And, he has the chin to do it. I feel like he doesn't really get like rocked or anything like that, Nope. I feel like he has a good chin. He's got the power. All he needs is that discipline. And I feel like maybe, he can make something happen.
Yep, I agree. But I think, instead of trying to do it all in one fight, process. Take it one fight at a time. And activity. I mean, if he takes another year off, nothing's going to get better. So if he can get back in the ring later this year, I would say on an undercard, like I said, I don't want to see him, headlining any cards like this. Stick him in an undercard fight to where he could stay active. If he's going to fight, like you said, no knock on Giovanni Santiago, but Giovanni Santiago isn't a main event guy either. So, stick him on an undercard where he could stay active. He's going to have to take a smaller paycheck for it, but hey, some activity could lead to a big payday, next year or in 2 years. Also on that undercard, probably, one of the best performances from the undercards of the weekend, Otto Wallin dominated Dominic Brazil over 12 rounds. Was it 12 rounds? I think it was 10 rounds.
I'm not sure exactly what it was.
I think it was 12 rounds. Dominated Dominic Brazil over 12 rounds to a unanimous decision victory. I was really impressed by Otto Wallin. I'm sorry, it's with a V. It's spelled with a W, but it's with a V. I thought he looked really good. And coming off that performance against Tyson Fury, I mean, this guy could be a real threat, a heavyweight. I'm not saying he could be like...
He's definitely up there.
I think he could cause problems for like Anthony Joshua. Yeah. I'd like to see him fight Andy Ruiz.
Yeah, that'd be a good fight.
Hey, at this point, Deontay Wilder.
Yeah. Deontay Wilder also needs a fight.
Sure, Deontay Wilder can catch him and hit him with, one of those monster right hands and knock him out. But at the same time, Wallin, looked really tricky and he looked like he gave Tyson Fury problems. So if Wilder can't hit him, what is Wilder going to be able to do against Wallin?
That's true.
So I like Wallin. Did you catch the fight?
I did. I mean, I watched about 2 rounds of it, and then, Dominic Brazil did not look good. I'm sorry. You know what? Brazil, he hadn't fought since he got knocked out by Deontay Wilder. That was about a year and a half, probably over a little bit, year and a half. And it looked like he just has not recovered from that knockout. It looked like he just doesn't have it anymore. And, hopefully he's able to get it together. But as far as me, he didn't look good. I couldn't even finish watching the fight.
He looked, and he looked worn out. There's no other way to say it. He looked like maybe he trained too hard or, the altitude in Big Bear because he was training with Abel Sanchez. He just looked worn out. I actually tweeted out how he was looking bad. And one of my friends, shout out Ernie, told me that and reminded me he hasn't looked good since he left Manny Robles. And, we've been talking about Manny Robles like every week now, but another guy who left Manny Robles and, not looking too good.
Sometimes you think the grass is greener on the other side, but the grass is dead on the other side.
Yeah. and Brazil looked worn out and tired. So I don't. After so much time off, who knows how long he's been training? Maybe he overtrained, but you know, needs to make some adjustments because, I mean, when he's on point, he's on point. And let's be real, he looked a little bigger than usual.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a year and a half. I mean, these guys are big to begin with. You know, they probably cut down a few pounds just to be a little bit more athletic, lighter on their feet. But let me tell you, a year and a half, you can pack some serious weight on a year and a half. You know, and it's even more. You know, he got knocked out with a devastating right hand that would have floored anybody. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, you don't really recover sometimes from something like that. You know, he got clipped flush by Deontay Wilder. I mean, oh God, you could hear that punch.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he'll be able to recover from it. I hope he's able to, you know, just stay active, see what he can do. And you know what? Good win for Otto Wallen.
Definitely. Also on the undercard, Robert Easter. He got himself a unanimous decision win. I thought he looked really good.
Yeah,
he looked
good.
Very sharp at 140. Doesn't have that killer instinct, but it looked like he was in cruise control the whole night, which is, you know, sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's not too good. Anybody else you want to talk about on this Saturday night of boxing?
Not really. You know what? It was overall a good night of fights. Can't be mad about it.
No, it was a great night of fights. Again, congrats to Oscar Valdez. If you guys are still watching, please consider subscribing, drop a like, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Really helps out the podcast. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Thanks a lot, guys.